Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our webinar on using collected insights to report on actionable data. So as we know, collecting insights is super important for all of our clients to find out what that voice of the customer is. But what you do with those insights is also very important. So we decided today to focus our webinar on those insights specifically, on what we can collect and what are the actions that we can take on that data. All right, well, we'll get started by introducing ourselves. For those that don't know me already, my name is Sandra Holland. I'm the marketing manager here at Bembria, and I'm joined today with my colleague Tristan Tasker. You may be familiar with him as well because he is our customer success manager. So if you're currently using Loop, he's probably a familiar face to you. So going through the agenda and what we have to cover today, we will be discussing how and why you collect feedback, those actionable insights that you collect, with the data that you collect. And of course, we will be going over our different insights. So that includes survey project insights, ticket insights, as well as our custom dashboards. So some of you may be familiar with some of these concepts, some of them may be all new to you. We are going to be primarily focusing on the Loop 360 user interface. So if you attended our last webinar back in November, you'll be familiar with that. Otherwise, I will link you in the follow-up email to that, and you can catch up on everything Loop 360 has to offer. So we'll dig in and get started here today. So I decided we'll start our webinar here by just discussing the collection of feedback. As most of you may know, Loop does collect feedback both online and offline. So we use over 10 channels of engagement using an omni-channel approach. So this includes everything from kiosks to email, SMS, social channels such as Facebook Messenger, Twitter Direct Message, and WhatsApp, as well as other mobile forms of engagement, such as our link channels and our mobile SDK. So obviously we're measuring many different things when we're looking at our surveys. So that includes everything from customer satisfaction scores, customer effort scores, and of course that net promoter score. So we're evaluating all of those different traditional means of satisfaction. So we use that that standard of feedback. So that's kind of like the beginnings of our feedback collection here. So I threw the slide up here because I always find it interesting to look at the why we are interested in that feedback. So obviously, feedback is important when it comes to customer loyalty and reducing churn of your customers. So you want your customers to keep coming back, and you want them to say good things about you when they do so. So some interesting stats we've got up here. So 1 in 26 customers that complain, the rest usually say nothing. So, you know, it is really important to make sure that you give everybody a voice. So whether it's, you know, directly soliciting feedback or offering it in location, giving that opportunity to speak is very, very important. So yeah, so those are some interesting stats there that kind of get our webinar kicked off here today. So what can you tell about the data that you're collecting? So obviously, it really all depends on the questions that you are putting in your survey. So I mentioned we use CSAT, NPS, and CES to evaluate effort, satisfaction, and loyalty. So the questions you're asking really can tie back to those actual key performance indicators in your business. So they can give you information such as operational challenges that you're facing. So whether that relates to service, speed, cleanliness. It also can give you indications on team menu preferences. If you happen to be a food services opportunity, it can tell you whether or not your customers are satisfied with the type of foods you're offering. And then, of course, it gives you an indication into employee performance. So is your staff friendly? Are they efficient? Are they delivering the type of service that you are expecting out of your business? It also gives you an indication as to your busiest times of day. So we offer a heat map, which will actually show you days as well as times of day that you are getting certain types of feedback. So that's a really good indicator as well. And then, of course, your brand reputation. So overall, that net promoter score is important when it comes to looking at your brand as a whole. So now we're going to get started on talking about survey project insights. So like I mentioned in the previous webinar, we discussed Loop 360 and the survey projects. So again, there are tons of videos that I have created that I will share with you post the webinar on how to go ahead and create a survey project. But the survey projects are essentially containerized, so you can create individual projects for your individual needs based on location. So we'll get started here, and we're talking about the insights of your survey projects. So this is, you've already created your survey, you've already distributed your survey, and you're already collecting feedback. But what is that feedback telling you? That is what we're focusing on here today. So with our survey project insights, it gives you the opportunity to have a high level overview of the dashboard of your survey project. So you'll be able to look holistically across your entire survey and see what the feedback you're receiving on that specific survey. So if you have a survey that you're evaluating the cafeteria and the actual dine-in scenario, then you'll be able to know just how that dine-in scenario is happening. So this individual survey project data will give you that deep down information based on those questions that you're asking. A very important piece of all of our insights is that we can export them into a PDF document, or you can save your panels as a JPEG or a SVG file, or sorry, a JPEG or a PDF, PNG file, sorry. And then using those image files, you can go ahead and put those into your presentations. So if you are giving an executive business review or high-level presentation to management, you can go ahead and include your insights into that with just a simple click of the button. So that's kind of the overview of our survey projects. But now I'm going to flip it over to Tristan. He's going to go ahead and show you exactly how these survey project insights work using our demonstration account. So I'm passing it over to you now, Tristan. You've got the helm.
Awesome, thank you, Sandra. So what we can see here is a demo account that we have here. It's a hotel that we've made up, and we're particularly interested in the in-stay survey that we have. So for our demo account, we have multiple surveys. This one is just focusing on the in-stay experience for the guests. In terms of the Insights tab, which is listed here, you can see that there's a number of different panels that are on display on the screen here. I'll just give you a quick breakdown of what each one indicates. So you can see here in the first panel, we are measuring customer satisfaction score. And really what we're looking at is to see overall how guests are experiencing the hotel and how satisfied they are. So it takes the top two scores of very satisfied and satisfied, combines them together to give us an indicator of the actual score overall. It's a quick visualization to see that, you know, things are predominantly going well, which is great. So if you have, you know, frontline staff that are limited in admin access to the Loop platform, they're still able to see this information and make sure that they are, you know, doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. You can also see here on the right-hand side that there is a chart which can show trends over time. So this is great to just, again, see a visualization of how the customer satisfaction is over time. So this is a demo account, so there are obviously some gaps here, but we can see that, you know, starting in December, things were great and continued in January. There might be some dips here and there, but at least we're able to see on a trend over time that things are steadily, you know, going at a good pace. As we continue in the Insights tab here, you can see that we also have measured our NPS score. So in this panel, you can see that it's summarizing based on 25 answers, so 25 survey responses. And again, we're seeing an overall great promoter score here. So 72% of responses are promoters versus 12% being neutral and 16% being detractors. And we can see our overall score listed here as well as a 56, which is, you know, fantastic in terms of net promoter score. And again, you can also see the overall trends over time with the chart here. So again, as a high-level overview for an employee at a location, they're able to see trends in real time and see what the actionable data is. As we continue to scroll down, we're going to see that there are comment chains here. So typically we encourage surveys to include a comment box, and this is where guests are able to provide more detail into their feedback. So we can summarize that here in this panel, as well as we're able to pull insights out of the comments. And this is what we have here in our word cloud. So the word cloud will be able to notify different things in terms of trends that are coming up. So we can see here, you know, vegan has been mentioned a few times, or breakfast. So if there is a problem or something that's really, really great in terms of an experience, the larger the word that means more people are talking about it. So it's a great way to just kind of visualize quickly the types of comments that you're seeing across the board. And that's just a high level overview of the Insights panel. If you wanted to get a little bit more detail into some of the responses that you've actually received, you would actually click here on the Responses tab. And this is going to pull you through to the actual individual survey responses across the board. So you can see a breakdown. So we can see that, on February 28th at 3:28 in the afternoon, someone was happy with their experience, which is based on a Boolean question, true or false. They gave you a 3 in terms of customer satisfaction, but they gave an 8 in terms of NPS score, as well as a comment here mentioning that there were no vegan options available. So you can see all of the different responses that you have to your different surveys as well within the project itself. Again, just a great high-level way to view the information quickly and on the fly, and make sure that your frontline staff are able to see this as well and take action where necessary. And I'll toss this back over to Sandra.
All right, awesome. So now that we've covered off survey insights, our next component that we're going to be discussing is ticket insights. So as I mentioned, tickets are a new feature available in the Loop 360 user interface. So tickets can be actually set up while you are creating your survey projects. So I'll just throw this one up onto the screen here. So essentially, our ticketing platform is an automated way for you to close the loop on the feedback that you're collecting from your guests. So it allows you to automate that action and remediation of the ticket workflows. So that way you can ensure that the follow-ups are being made appropriately and accurately. With our tickets, we do allow for root cause analysis as well as resolution codes. So you'll be able to find out why the ticket was created and how it was resolved. So whether your staff is offering a discount for next time or an apology, you'll be able to report back on all of those resolutions as well as where the root cause is coming from. In Loop, you now are able to create service level agreements. So you actually can manage your service level agreement, and I'll dig more into that in the coming slides, but SLAs is definitely a key component to the ticket insights as well. And then of course you've got the ticket insights, which we're going to be getting to on the next section. So tickets is a key component to closing the loop on the feedback that you're collecting. And like I said, using action to go ahead and remediate issues. All right, so this is an overview of our Tickets Insights tab. So here you're able to report on the life cycle of a ticket. So this includes your tickets that are awaiting responses, the first time to response, as well as the resolution time and root cause and resolution codes, as well as ticket sources. So there's a lot of data on this particular Insights tab, but it's all key to understanding the life cycle of your ticket. So as you can see here, you've got in this particular demo screen, you've got 15 tickets that are waiting responses. Obviously, that's just a demonstration that would be in real life, I would hope. And your first time to respond, so that means that the first, how long it takes for your client or your frontline staff to get back to your client. So in this case, we're looking at 1 minute. And then obviously the resolution time for when tickets are closed out and resolved. Obviously 55 days is not a fabulous number to uphold in your SLAs, but you can understand the picture as to what we would want that to look like in real life. So you can also see that line graph is showing the opened and closed tickets. So you'll be able to report back on the tickets that have been closed out. And then you've got your pie charts at the bottom, identifying your root causes, your resolution codes, and your ticket sources. So lots of visualization inside the ticket insights, easy to understand the story that is happening when it comes to your tickets. And then, like I mentioned, with Survey Insights, you can also export your ticket insights into those image files as well as into a PDF document for easy sharing. So really key component to ensuring you're creating action based on the insights that you are collecting and reporting back on them, because that's what we're talking about here today is all of your reporting. Speaking of reporting, this is where we jump into the service level agreements component. So most businesses have a dedicated SLA, whether it's you want to get back to your customers within the first 3 hours or the first 24 hours or have something resolved within the first 48 hours. I'm just throwing out numbers there. So you can actually set your service level agreement benchmarks in the settings section of Loop. And this will include your response times and your resolution time targets. So obviously benchmarks are very important. Upholding those key performance indicators and being able to report back on them is definitely key. So in your SLA reporting itself, you'll be able to use the filters to report on the results based on the date range. So as you can see here in our little line chart, obviously we broke an SLA here when it took us 15 days to report back. Obviously not a great number, but you can see everything else is in accordance with the SLA. So that is definitely key there. And then as you can see, you can download these particular files into PNG, JPEG, and SVG files, or CSV files as well. So SLAs are very important when we're looking at brand standards as a whole, but reporting back on them and how you're meeting them and exceeding them is also very key. So all of that is available in the Tickets Insight tab in the Loop 360 UI. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun here, and we get to start talking about custom dashboards. So we understand that everybody has unique needs on their reporting. So that's why we've created custom dashboards. So these are different than Project Insights because you can actually go in and modify the way you're visualizing your data. So Project Insights are relatively static. You're going to see the information that your survey is collecting and that overview of what it is that's happening in the survey. Custom dashboards is where we're getting into the nitty gritty. So this is where we're looking at rule-defined dashboards. So for example, somebody in marketing like myself would want to see something different than somebody in customer success like Tristan. So custom dashboards are super important when we're looking at the different roles within a company. So whether it's a frontline staff at a restaurant location, or if it is the head of operations of the franchise as a whole, they're going to be wanting to see different things. So your custom dashboards are rich data visualizations that you can go ahead and customize to your unique needs. It offers multiple pages and panels, so there's a lot more data you can go ahead and put into your custom dashboards. And like I mentioned, there's secure access. So you can actually restrict your users based on the type of dashboards you're creating. So you might not necessarily want somebody that's on the front line to see how all the franchisees are doing. So that's something a totally different, role defined. So secure access is definitely important when it comes into those custom dashboards. I'm going to quickly, we popped over about those visualizations, but I'm just going to go over them a little bit more in depth here before we jump into the custom dashboards demo. So that CSAT summary panel. So Tristan showed this off when we were looking at the survey Project Insights. But just to give you that little bit of a closer look here, you can visualize all of that satisfaction at a glance. So it's very key to understand the overall trends and what you're trying to accomplish. Here's that heat map panel. So the heat map panel is really cool because you can actually identify based on times of day or days of week or numbers of the month the type of satisfaction you're getting in. So obviously the colors are pretty obvious. So green is good and red is bad, and orange and yellow is somewhere in between. So looking at that overall dashboard, you'll be able to see it's like, oh, on Monday we're having a satisfaction issue. Are we understaffed? Did the food shipment not come in from the weekend? What could be causing that dissatisfaction? So it gives you that at a glance view of, oh, we have a problem on this particular day or this particular time, like lunchtime, all of a sudden the satisfaction, heads on down. Well, I wonder what's going on during that shift. Maybe somebody called in sick. Who knows? But this is a great way to be able to indicate exactly problems you may be having within the business and make those workflow changes. And we did briefly touch on the word cloud panel earlier, using that conversation information for those words that come up more often. So as you can see, you've got some words that are more obvious than others. You've got, this is obviously a hotel use case because you can see room and towels, but you'll be able to see all of those key numbers. So like Tristan showed you earlier, vegan was important. So if you're in a restaurant, that's important for information to have at a glance. But it gives you it gives you the idea as to which areas of the business need a little bit more attention. So with that, I will stop talking and I will pass it over to Tristan, and he can actually go ahead and show you those custom dashboards and how you can customize them for the different users and the role specific within the organization.
Thanks, Sandra. So what you'll see on my screen here is an example of an operations dashboard. So this would be, again, for the hotel in Houston that we have set up here. There's multiple different surveys, right? So, you can have a dozen different surveys and you want to know the trends across all of them. So having a custom dashboard like this will be able to show that, but if you wanted to filter it down to an individual survey, you could as well. So if you're having consistency across the board in terms of the types of questions that you're asking, it will make these dashboards a little bit easier to use. So we can just jump in and show some of the examples here. It's important to kind of notice as well that it's not just focusing on the survey questions themselves, it's also looking at conversation data. So with Loop, you have the ability to create a conversation with the staff after you've left a response. And you're able to pull that information into the custom dashboard as well. So you can see that, we've had 33 responses and 32 of them have started a conversation with the staff here at the hotel. And we're also able to see, so the difference between a conversation and a message, a conversation can have multiple messages in it. And you can actually set up different escalation thresholds as well. So let's say if someone were to create a conversation and not receive a response within whatever set parameters, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however long you want, it gets escalated to the next person. So if your frontline staff are not able to handle a conversation quickly, it can be escalated to a manager, for instance. And we can see the number of escalations here that have happened in terms of messages. Obviously, if you're trying to provide a certain level of service, it ties back to SLAs as well. So having quick responses is going to be key, and you want to obviously have fewer escalations. In terms of NPS score as well, you'll see that there's just a quick panel here that you can see it. So similar to what we had in the previous demo that I gave in terms of the project insights, you can see the NPS score in that visualization. There is a panel in this dashboard as well, but if you're just looking for, okay, what's my NPS score for the last 90 days? Okay, it's 56, we know that. That's great, you can see that there. Scrolling down here, you'll see that there's a number of different panels as well. So again, that question consistency is huge because you want to be able to report consistently across multiple areas of your business. So for a hotel, for instance, if there's a restaurant, a gym, a spa, different event venues, things like that, all within one property, you want to be able to have comparable metrics across the board when you're measuring different things. So if it's satisfaction, service, things like that. So you can see here that we have the customer happiness. Again, just a quick 75%. Okay, that's a great snapshot to see, but we can actually see the trend here as well over time. So once the responses come in and they're consistent, you can see how it ebbs and flows throughout the collection period. Similar to the CSAT score that we saw before, we can see that breakdown. So that is included in here as well. So again, a high-level manager, general manager for a property would be able to take a look at this and see the trends over time across, again, all of the different surveys. If they wanted to break it down at the top, they're able to select the different individual surveys and get a quick breakdown on that as well. But overall, if you're just wondering about how your overall performance is going, you can do that here with the custom dashboards. Similar to the NPS is what we had before. And a couple of other panels here at the bottom. So one here is that we have in this pie chart is the conversation tag breakdown. So again, this conversation data is really, really important for a lot of our customers to see how their frontline staff are engaging with their guests. So we do have the ability to have tags within our conversations. And what a tag can be, you'll see here, this of the breakdown, you'll see that there's 10 conversations are related to staff compliments. So it's actually a beneficial thing and you want to be able to collect that data. Okay, so my staff are doing a really great job. A high percentage of the conversations that we're getting are actually praise for them, which is great. And then you can see there's other options in terms of check-in, check-out, housekeeping, noise, room keys, things like that. So there are different tags that you can actually set up and automate based on key trigger words that will just help organize the conversational data for you. So this is just a very simple operations dashboard that maybe a manager would look at versus somebody on the front lines. And I think it's a great visualization and a great tool that you can use to set up and just use to help run your business and make sure that you're acknowledging any gaps that might be coming up. So that's in a nutshell what a custom dashboard looks like.
Awesome, super cool, Tristan. So I will steal the screen back from you and we'll finish up our presentation for today. So it looks like we covered a lot of ground here in a very short period of time. So need not worry if you did miss some of it. I will be definitely sending out a recording as well as relevant assets to our conversations today. So some assets related to dashboards and reporting, creating custom dashboards yourself in your Loop account, and of course, some of that Loop 360 information on how to create survey projects and glean more insights. So all that's going to be coming to your email box shortly after this webinar. And then, of course, as always, Tristan, as your customer success manager, is here to help. So if you have a question about your Loop deployment, he's more than happy to help you set up some dashboards or answer any questions or have conversations with you. We're here for your success. So your success is our success at the end of the day. So happy to have been able to host this webinar and how we can go ahead and help you get more insights out of the data you're collecting. So until next time, thank you so much, Tristan, for doing this with me today and helping out the team. And we'll see you next time, everybody.